The Vinnie Penn Project.
Carmine.
Hey, Vinny, how are you today?
How you doing, my man? VF McNeil Insurance celebrating 25-year anniversary right here. Carmine Montori, VP and business insurance agent. It's the second get-together of ours. I hope Sal is doing well. And the last time we got together to talk, we were covering some items that business owners in Connecticut should consider, and that's probably a very fluid situation right now, especially for the businesses that are weathering this pandemic storm. These items are important considerations since the pandemic accelerated the need for business owners to make so many operational changes. I actually went really quickly, too, Carmine, to a grand reopening of a business that they got a grant during this time. You know, one of those Save Our Business grants. You know, they applied, they got it, and it was interesting to hear the gentleman's, because the business itself well, I can't say it looked the same. They did it up, and it was just interesting to hear him say, you know, nobody was coming in here and running the water. We were shut down for 2 years, you know. Nobody had turned on the heat. We had all that to do. All the money went to was upgrading. Yeah, it's the same business, and we're not changing our model necessary, but the sitting empty, we needed that money for the sitting empty. Is that something where business owners, you know, where business insurance protection, is that something you're seeing like, look, I'm here, but it ain't turnkey. We've been sitting empty for 2 years, and am I covered?
Well, yeah, obviously, anytime a business shuts down for any number of days, months, years, whatever it may be, and they go to reopen, there are certain things you have to take into account. You want to make sure all of the equipment's working properly. There are costs that come associated with that, and a business owner just needs to make sure that their business property insurance limits are correct.
Yes. That's a key word.
that they're correct for the right amount of what they have, especially with a lot of those grants. People were going out and buying new equipment and maybe upgrading, and say they had $30,000 in equipment, but then they actually ended up purchasing $60,000 in equipment. If that change isn't accounted for, on that policy, you could see a shortfall of $30,000 if, God forbid, there was a claim.
Yeah, that's amazing. And another thing you see, too, is the plexiglass went up, and businesses had to go out of pocket for that, right? And, I was hearing from a lot of folks, too, just as far as building materials were concerned. I had a neighbor over to help me in the fall. I had some wood in the basement. I'm like, I want to dice this up and, burn it in the fireplace. And he actually looked at me and goes, you could probably get a pretty penny for this right now because 2x4s, pieces of plywood right now. He's like, there are construction guys, looking for this. So we never really talked the cost of building materials and what VF McNeil, what you guys can do there.
Yeah, that's a great point, Vinny. Basically, what happened during the pandemic is we saw just people being home. A lot of people were doing building projects, and a piece of 2x4, like you said, was maybe $2. Then it turned out to be $6.
Amazing.
Then, as the pandemic started to change a little bit and wind down, you had just supply chain issues where just things just aren't coming in like they were. So a lot of insurance companies are taking the tact of re-estimating, business property. It could even be your own homeowner's insurance. If you're insured for $195,000 and you have 150% replacement cost, they're going to give you a little extra coverage. But if that 190 isn't reflecting the new building costs, you could have a significant shortfall in the case of a total loss.
Yeah.
It's just simple supply and demand. Right now, getting someone to hang a piece of sheetrock is a lot more than it was a year ago. That piece of sheetrock itself is a lot more expensive than it was a year ago. So until those things start to come down and the supply chain starts to, loosen up a bit, you definitely need to take a look and make sure that your values are correct.
And now,
accounting for the higher costs.
And now, Carmine, and again, we're on with Carmine Montori, Vice President and Business Insurance Agent at VF McNeil Insurance. I'm so glad to have you guys being a part of the show. But now, every Saturday or Sunday evening when I lob a piece of that chopped up wood into the fireplace, I'm thinking, I'm burning money. Maybe I should have sold that. To a guy like me, it was lost on me that something as simple as, the construction worker, wood to just build an addition, that those costs went through the roof the way in which they did. Do you see it? I mean, that's not really the nature.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's not. It's true. I mean, I had some work done to my house, and just a simple cost. Unfortunately, builders have to pass that cost on. They can't eat it all, so somebody has to pass the cost on. The builders are passing it on to the consumer. And again, when it comes to the insurance aspect of it, if you have a claim, you need to make sure you have that right coverage limit, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. And the only thing I could explain to business owners and homeowners alike is just make sure you have that conversation with your agent. Hey, I know that over the past year things have gone a little nuts. Do you think I'm insured properly? Are my values correct?
Yeah.
And we have replacement cost estimator tools that we use in our computer systems that we can pop your information in, and honestly, it has all the new construction costs built in, so we can figure out if that 195 that we were talking about a few minutes ago, maybe that needs to go up to 215. So that program will allow us to figure out if you are insured for the right amount.
That's very cool that there's something in place to figure it out that way, because I would imagine there are some people wondering, do I have a ceiling in place that I don't know I have in place?
Correct.
To know that you have that, that's a really important tool. I love these chats. Carmine Montori, again, Vice President and Business Insurance Agent, VF McNeil Insurance. You're there 25 years. The place has been around over 130. I still can't get over that.